Welcome, welcome, patrons! For the most part, BioWare lets you decide what you want regarding your Inquisitor's past, but there are a few things that they do set up for you, so let's talk about that. One thing I do want to say before I go into all this, and I'll say it every time we do something regarding your character, this game is made for you to do what you want. If you don't like the details here, that's fine. Ignore them. Throw them away. Make the Dragon Age game yours. This is more for the people who like to play within the BioWare rules like I do. Now with that out of the way, you are Inquisitor. The Inquisitors. Overall, the Inquisitor's past is largely up to you, and the information that we do have comes from a few places. Each Inquisitor has a codex entry that gives a small description of their past, which is pretty much just that blurb that you read when you pick the race and character creation. After that, you get to decide a few things about your past based on conversations with NPCs in Haven, the most notable being Josephine, which I'll go over briefly during the video. Two of the Inquisitors also have a history with already established characters in the series, and I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing connections to other characters in the future. So let's go in alphabetical order, starting with the Qunari Inquisitor. Adar. For all the classes, the Qunari Inquisitor's parents were of the Qun and living in Pervalin. They left that life behind before the Inquisitor was born and settled in the Free Marches, which is where the Inquisitor grew up. A mage Adar, after discovering their talents, was taught their skills in magic by a Talvashoth mage. All classes eventually joined the Valocast mercenary group as a young adult. It's said that the Inquisitor made a name for themselves in this group for being powerful and resourceful. Now, in dialogue with Josephine, you learn that she has received a letter from your previous mercenary captain, who you identify as
William Iron Ass Tully.
So from this, we know that Adar was with another mercenary group before joining the Valocast. From what we know of Adar's time in the group, Tully relied heavily on Adar to win some battles, and apparently also cheated Adar out of 5 sovereigns when they left the company. This is a complete guess on my part, but from the name of the captain alone, it sounds like Adar joined a human-based company and then switched to a largely Qunari-run one. Anyway, the Valocast is a Talvashoth group, the name translating to Great Sword. The group is led by a woman named Shakrakar, who you learn to have quite the sarcastic personality and keeps calling the Inquisition soldiers the hairy eyeball or just eyeball soldiers. You somehow also owe her for a broken blade, and she loves fighting demons. During the Conclave, the Valocast were hired to be a neutral part to stand between the Templars and the Mages. After the explosion of the Temple of Sacred Ashes, you do learn a few things about other members in the group through various war table missions. Satakas, who was captured by humans during the aftermath of the Conclave, and when freed, sweared for 2 hours about humans and then punched a gurn. Kato, a woman who has been captured by a noble after the events at Haven. Tarlok, someone who is good with contracts that Shakrakar offers to send to you after you get promoted to Inquisitor by the little sharp human and the red-headed one, because you should never trust humans with numbers. Karis, a man who is terrible at poetry and wants to perform 34 new sonnets for the Inquisitor when they get back. Apparently he also has a squad that he commands. Ashad and Ashad II. Eventually Ashad leaves the group. And at one point, a part of the group gets captured by anti-Qun fanatics. 3 members named Hisra, Sita, and Murad die from this abduction. After the events of Inquisition, and if you are friends with Varric as the new Viscount of Kirkwall, he hires the Valocast to support Kirkwall City Guard, and they now live in Kirkwall, which is brave move considering what happened with the Qunari just a few years ago. Kadash. Inquisitor Kadash actually has probably the most interesting history here, and to start we have to jump back all the way to Dragon Age Origins, more specifically to Witch Hunt. Through a side quest that I'm not really going to go way too deep into, we learned that there was once a settlement in the Deep Roads called Cad Halash. After the fall of Arlathan, this settlement took in escaping elves for shelter. Now, at this point in time, the doors were aligned with the Tevinter Imperium, and if we all remember our Thedosian history, the elves of Arlathan were escaping the war with Tevinter, so one of Tevinter's allies were taking in their enemy. As history remembered it, Tevinter found this out and sacked the settlement. Except through the side quest, we learn that Kal Sharok, which was the capital of the Dwarven Empire at the time, learned of the settlement taking in elves and destroyed their own settlement as to not anger the Tevinters. Eventually, Kadash Taig was built on the remains of this settlement. As for what was in the Taig, the little we know is that they once were updating warrior training grounds, and that a commander Ragnar Kadash found elven artifacts dating from Cad Halash. So then let's fast forward to when the Darkspawn first were attacking the Dwarven Empire, and Paragon Caridin started to turn others into golems. One of the first and the only female to volunteer to become a golem was Shale Kadash, who would eventually become the Shale our warden would find in the small village of Honolith. Eventually, the entire House Kadash was exiled for the surface. It was a mystery why the house was actually exiled until the Descent DLC, where we can actually ask Balta if she knows why.
House Kadash was exiled from Orzammar long before my time, but no one has ever told me why. Does the Shaperate know?
It's my understanding that your house tried to obtain information about a war golem during the First Blight.
Why would that warrant exile?
Their methods were considered offensive. House Kadash was feared long before it joined the Carta. I wish I could tell you more, but family histories are not my area of expertise.
So even back then, the Kadash family was something similar to a mobster family, but it seems that they never forgot about Shale, and perhaps even tried to find her, which ultimately got them exiled to the surface. The Kadash family now is largely known for their large hand in the lyrium trade and smuggling operation in the Carta, which, if you are unaware, the Carta is essentially Dwarven mobsters. Now, finally, let's jump to Inquisitor Kadash. The Inquisitor was a surface dwarf born and raised. Growing up, they moved from city to city in the Free Marches, working odd jobs with the family. It's said that the Carta was highly interested in the Conclave, as it could damage the lyrium trade, so the Inquisitor, along with a few other dwarves, was sent to spy for the Carta. You are able to choose Kadash's level of involvement with criminal activity, but there are a few war table missions that talk about some people you knew. At the very least, someone named Lantos seems to be your major contact with the Carta and is very friendly to you. You knew a castless woman named Varla, and the Dasher seems to be someone that used you to sell lyrium, and after the explosion at Haven, he's not too happy to not have his money. At the end, if you are friends with Varric, he gives you a seat in the Merchants Guild, which Varric also explains he tried to give you his seat, but they wouldn't allow it. LOTHARN. The Dalish Inquisitor came from a pro-human clan who openly traded with them. They roamed around the Free Marches, keeping in between city-states, as this would keep rulers from those city-states from sending armed forces to the Dalish in fear of angering other city-states. If a mage, the Inquisitor becomes the first for their clan, meaning that they're the understudy for the Keeper. And if a warrior or a rogue, the Inquisitor becomes a hunter at a young age, becoming respected for both protecting and providing for the clan. Not much is known about the clan and who is a part of it, but the Keeper does mention that Clan Llewellyn's hunters are prone to arguing with humans. When the fighting of the mages and the Templars spilled out into the countryside, affecting Clan Llewellyn, the Keeper, the Shauna Istamathoriel, thought that the Conclave would affect the future of the Elven people, perhaps dreading that if the Conclave turns in favor of the Templars, what it would mean for her and other mages of the Dalish. So when the clan moved to safer lands, the Inquisitor headed to the Conclave as a spy. Now, I do want to say that Keeper Deshauna is mentioned with both masculine and feminine pronouns in the game. This might just be an editing error, or it might not. Who knows? If there is in-game dialogue that mentions the Keeper's gender, I have forgotten about it and have not been able to stumble upon it. So if you have seen it, let me know where it is. Otherwise, I have seen more people refer to the Keeper with feminine pronouns than masculine, so that's just at least what most people do. Now, it seems that Clan Llewellyn is a little bit prone to death. There are 7 possible war table missions involving the clan, and most of them can result in the entire clan dying. So let's go through that real quick. Contact Clan Llewellyn. Josephine and Lilianda send over a thoughtful message. Colin accidentally kills some of the clan because he brought too many soldiers, and the clan thought they were being attacked. The Keeper steps in and is not too happy about it. Protect Clan Llewellyn. Colin and Liliana manage to drive away bandits attacking the clan. Josephine tries to send a noble to do it, and they all die. And here the war table missions kind of branch out a bit. Investigate Duke Antoine of Wycombe. Only available if you sent Liliana on the previous mission, but sending Liliana this time leads to a letter from the Keeper letting you know that the clan has been killed by the soldiers of Wycombe, who blame the elves in murdering the Duke. The letter ends with, "Live well, Dalen. You carry Clan Llewellyn with you. They are coming for us." Colin doesn't have an option, but if you send Josephine, the clan is fine. Stop the purge of Wycombe's elves. Only available if you sent Josephine in the last mission, and she does not participate in this one. If you send Liliana, she sneaks the clan into the city of Wycombe, and they join with an elven resistance group. Together they convince the poor of Wycombe to overthrow the Duke who had been poisoning the city, and the clan is thought of as heroes. Colin goes straight to attacking the city, but in revenge the Duke kills the clan. Now let's jump back to the other path. Break Venatori hold on Wycombe. If you chose Colin for Protect Clan Llewellyn, you get this mission, although he doesn't participate for this one. If you chose Liliana, the clan is fine. If you chose Josephine, you get a letter from one of Liliana's men saying the Duke is about to march on the clan, and they presumably all die. Restore order in Wycombe. Only available if you sent Liliana on the previous mission, and if you send her, she again sneaks the clan into the city. The Keeper tries to help healing members of the city, and there's a whole fallout with that, and the Dalish overall are seen as heroes and everyone survives. Josephine doesn't participate, and sending Cullen results in the death of the whole clan again. Everything converges back to protect Clan Llewellyn and Wycombe. The Keepers worry that if they leave the city now, they will leave the city elves open to attack from other nobles in the surrounding city-states. Lillian does not participate, but sending Josephine results in the death of the clan. Sending Cullen, oddly enough, ends things peacefully. The Keeper and a group of city elves, along with a few human representatives, are set up on a city council that rules the city in fairness to both the elves and the humans, which means that the Dalish clan, for the first time, have a home. After everything, if Clan Llewellyn survives, and if the Inquisitor is friends with Varric as the Viscount of Kirkwall, he will make an alliance with the new Wycombe Council, which now makes him have some actual political power with other major city-states in the area. If Clan Llewellyn doesn't survive, Sarah mentions that she is friends of Red Jenny looking for survivors of the attack on Wycombe. Trevelyan. The human Inquisitor is nobility from Ostwick, a city-state in the Free Marches. The family is said to be old money and in good standing in the community with strong ties to Chantry. Cassandra also mentions that the family has a clever coat of arms, although we don't actually know what it looks like. Josephine also mentions that the family motto is modest in temper, bold in deed. The youngest children in the family typically become Templars or clerics. The Inquisitor is the youngest child in the family and was expected to follow this tradition. The Inquisitor was sent to the Conclave to represent the family's interests in the Chantry along with other family members who presumably died in the blast. Except if your Inquisitor was a mage. If a mage, your Inquisitor spent most of their life in the Circle of Magi in Ostwick. The Circle of Ostwick clung to neutrality in the conflict rather than picking sides. The Inquisitor was chosen to mediate the talks in hopes their family name could carry some weight. Life in the Circle was described as being dull, although apparently something happened during your harrowing that was so noteworthy that it was written in the Ostwick Circle history books, locked away, and never spoken of again. Your Inquisitor also has the choice to say that they had a crush on a Templar, although they were too shy and nothing came of it.
You came from the Circle at Ostwick, did you not? Senior Enchanter Lydia was a dear friend of mine. Were you at all acquainted?
Lydia was my instructor. She was almost a mother to me.
I never met a wiser soul than her. I understand she was killed by one of her own students when the Ostwick Circle rebelled.
As for the actual family, not too much is known. We do have a few family members that are mentioned here and there, but as for the Inquisitor's immediate family goes, it's pretty open. It's known the Inquisitor had or has a father with the title of Ban Trevelyan, and if the Inquisitor is a mage, they have the choice to say that the family bribed the Templars into letting the Inquisitor come home now and then. Other members of the family come out of the woodwork once you become Inquisitor. In various War Table missions, you have to put up with family members who are using your name just a little too liberally. There is a Lord ALBRECHT who began fighting with an Inquisition soldier in a tavern after the Inquisition had to denounce him when he began using the Inquisitor's name and making threats to others. This can later also cause some minor embarrassment for the Inquisition in the eyes of the Ostwick nobles. The Inquisitor's cousin, Lady OSHER, LOTHARN, TREVELYAN, BAYART, who they have not seen since they were children, sends a nice thank you note if the Inquisitor steps in on a local dispute. Some family members that we know about are not mentioned in War Table missions, but are from other codex entries or even just some dialogue in-game. One example being PHILLIAM Bernard Aloysius Trevelyan, or more largely known as PHILLIAM, a bard. He is known to us as being a writer of at least 20 codex entries since Dragon Age 2. Around Thetis, he is known as having some rivalry with Brother Genitivi and being a little bit too dramatic in his writings. The Inquisitor has a great aunt Lucille, who would throw large summer balls for the entire Free Marches, in which the Montelier family actually attended, although Josephine mentions that she doesn't remember seeing the Inquisitor there. The Inquisitor also mentions that they have a great aunt that has a well-known love for Antivan opera, and when they were invited to go to one, something happened during the opera that stopped the aunt talking to them for about 3 months. And finally, Dorian mentions that long ago, about 3 ages, which is about 300 years, in the deepest part of his family tree, there is a male Trevelyan in his family, so Dorian and the Trevelyan Inquisitor are sort of related. And that, dear patrons, is most of what we know on the Inquisitor. And while I do think this is everything, most of the information is just found through the smallest bits of dialogue, so it's totally possible that I missed something, and as usual, if I did, let me know. Do you still have lingering questions, proof that I'm wrong, comments about your own fan theory? Feel free to tweet me at Gilderthon on Twitter, or send a PM to user Gillinan on Reddit. Doresh Shiral.